Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18 Hours special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. Let's introduce the panel of experts we have on the show. I have Sushanta Mitra, he's the founder of Lead Angels. We also have T.R. Bajalia, he's the former DMD of SIDBI and the ex-executive director and head of the SME business at IDBI Bank. Thank you gentlemen both for being with us here tonight. Let's start off right away then with the queries that have come in. The first one is a call that's coming to us from V.S. Suresh. Go ahead, Suresh.
I just want to know how the banks and other financial institutions have option or helping us, like growing company like us, SME, for BPO, especially BPO sector, how to get a loan from the bank, all those stuff. So we need that kind of guidance from the banks. Also from the government too, if possible. Thank you.
So there are two parts to this question, if I may, Mr. Bachalia. The first is, of course, he's asking how do we go about raising funding? But, and I remember this is something that we've discussed previously as well. Why is there so much of, confusion, if I can call it that, or lack of clarity in terms of how MSMEs and SMEs can go about raising funds? And if you can possibly give our viewers 2 to 3 steps or 2 to 3 tips in terms of how to go about raising these funds.
This sector is also again a priority sector, and this is the sector recognized as the major job creation sector. So the focus of entire this is from the ministry side, whether it is a finance ministry or from SME ministry or from RBI, is coming on that, and there are various policy initiatives have already been initiated. Recently SIDBI has launched a website where all the details that how to get the finance, where to get the finance, and they have provided a uniform format. You can just fill up that format online and that will be sent to the banks, and the banks whosoever find it that it is doable, perhaps maybe it will go to all the banks, public sector banks, and out of that maybe 2-3 they will pick up, and who sanctioned earlier they can avail from that.
Is this, you think, then going to be the solution to what you were saying previously in terms of, while to some extent MSMEs have been classified as priority sector and therefore the lending is priority sector lending, it's not necessary that the funds are going to the MSME space, but do you think that this initiative is going to perhaps do away with that? It
will not exactly do away the entire thing, but perhaps it will give a support, it will facilitate that. And in now under priority sector, all the banks, they have to do 7.5% of their total loan to SME under that micro entrepreneur entrepreneurs. So they have to do that. Unless they do that, the overall share in the priority sector will not be recognized. And when they know that if they don't meet the targets, they have to deposit these funds with the NABARD or SIDBI or NHB at a quite reasonably low rate. So then they will not try to lose the funds on that. So they will give to this side. Further credit guarantee scheme is there, where up to 1 crore loan, you don't need to provide any security or you don't need to give any personal guarantees. So this is the support where earlier they were feeling that banks insist for collateral security. So up to 1 crore you don't need to provide any collateral security and you can get that. And now under this Mudra schemes, those loan up to 10 lakh rupees, Tarun, Shishu and another scheme. So there you don't need to provide any guarantee, you don't need to give any collateral. These are just given against which they are the banks can avail the refinance from SIDBI. So from Mudra Bank. So these are the good initiatives which have been taken, which protects the bank from any future loss. So it is encouraging the banks to come forward and lend to these people.
Okay, so do you think that, and would you agree that lending and life as far as funding for MSMEs has gotten easier?
It's gotten easier, and at the same time, apart from what the government is doing and the banks are doing on the side, there is now also private sector initiatives in terms of private NBFCs and others giving loans to SMEs based on cash flows rather than on inventory levels or collaterals. So that is also something that there is also now a movement towards peer-to-peer lending, so people can take loans from on the net itself. Finally, there is of course other angel networks and VCs who can invest into SMEs. So, apart from debt, this is debt which one from banks, from private institutions and other organizations, and last is equity funding from seed funds and angel networks is what they could go in for.
Okay.
Actually, just 1 second. Actually, NBFC sector is doing very well. Their market share in this MSME lendings has been growing consistently. I think it has gone near about 16%. So, they are playing a very important role, and they sanction the loan maximum within 10 to 15 days. So, only that their terms have to be negotiated. So, if they negotiate the terms and reach the agreed those terms, then it is very fast.
Suresh, thank you very much for asking us that query, and I hope this clarifies for you and also on behalf of all our other viewers in terms of how to go about raising funding, and we hope the environment becomes easy for our viewers. Let's take in the next query, and this is coming to us on social media. V. Lakshmipati has written to us, and this is a query which has come to us on Facebook. He wants to know how he goes about securing intellectual property, especially from employees who leave companies and brands like theirs and join big companies, and wants to know if there's a protection mechanism that can be put in place, and if so, what he can go about doing. What would you recommend?
Sure. So, there are two parts to it. One is the legal part, and the other is making people aware of these things. So, when an employee joins, he must be made, or he or she must be made aware that all the intellectual property that he or she develops or becomes aware of belongs to the company. A lot of Indians don't actually fully understand the implications of intellectual property. That is one. And the other is when an employee signs an employment contract, then this should be clearly stated there that it belongs to the company, and even whatever IP that the employee may create during his stay in the company belongs to the company and not to the individual.
I think I fully agree with what my friend has said, but you see this, if the employee leave and go to some other company and they are fearing that time this IPR perhaps they may disclose at other place and get the advantage. I think when we talk about intellectual property, this thing, it is mainly the mind innovation and innovation in the process or innovation, some sort of discovery which has been done there, and you get the protection unless it is recognized and it is registered. Maybe if you do not register it, there is a consistent threat that any time anybody can go and he can get registered in his own name. Once everything is they have made the program and everything is available, so anybody can go and get it registered. So, I think once you have invented a particular any product or any service or any manufacturing or any change in the process, any discovery made, it is better to get it registered.
But the registration process takes so long in India.
But once you have filed it, then nobody can do it. I just also want to add that as you know, companies also, we are very lax with intellectual property. So, you know, multinationals and others share IP within the company also on a need to know basis. So not everybody needs to know what about every intellectual property which is there with the company.
I was just going to come to that. Is it possible to put multiple levels of checks also across IP to ensure that a particular employee is not aware of all stages perhaps of the IP, to ensure that even to that extent
need to know basis.
Yes.
Sure. Let's take in our next query, and this is coming to us from VK Deshpande. He's calling in with his question. Go ahead, Deshpande.
The rate of interest in the banking sector for manufacturing industry is very high. The same thing is not applicable in China, where the rate of interest is kept at a very low condition for manufacturing sector, especially for small scale countries. So I want the government to improve on this.
Okay, that's $1 million question, like we say always, in terms of getting a lower rate of interest. Is that a possibility?
Based on whatever is marginal cost, plus again we see the stress of assets in the economy today. We say this almost 11-12% of the bank's assets are under stress. So, if they are not earning much interest on this 10-11%, it is very difficult to survive, and to earn the profit, to survive in the market, they have to show the profit, they have to earn the profit. So, and profit can come only the interest rate are at a reasonable rate. I think today Indian industry is base rate which is ranging from 8.35 to maybe around 9.4. So, it is quite reasonable, and expecting that it will go further down immediately does not seem to be this thing. Perhaps maybe RBI may again the policy rates, if they reduce further, perhaps some part of that can be further given the benefit. So, expecting that interest rate will be low, it is very, very difficult.
Just to add that, as technology is getting deep into banking, a lot of bank costs may decrease over a period of time. There are new types of financial players which are emerging on the web and other places, which may in the long run contribute to lowering of, because it will become more competitive, and therefore, in the long run, not in the short term definitely, but in the long run interest rates could be competitive, get more competitive as well as reduce therefore.
Okay, fair enough. Let's take a very quick break on that note, but lots of other queries on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and we're taking in all of your queries with our panel of experts. Let's take in our next one, and this is coming to us from Rajendra Bhansali. He's sent us an email, and we'll tell you how you can write into us if you have any queries at the end of the show. Do stay tuned. But the question which is coming to us from Rajendra, he says that they're manufacturers of mineral water. However, there are a lot of small players who ventured into this space, he says, and that they're selling at much cheaper rates. He's written in to us to ask our experts about how to take on this challenge for his business, because profit margins are small to begin with and they're getting impacted because of the entry of these small players. How to ensure that these small players don't affect his business and at the same time go about protecting his margins. In a previous episode, we were talking about Chinese manufacturers, and the fact of the matter is that you are going to face challenges, whether it's from a foreign entity who has more money than you entering the market, or it's a smaller player who is going to be very aggressive to try and break into your market. What would you recommend for this person?
Sure. So, I think this is a problem a lot of mineral water manufacturers are facing today, because in the last maybe 5 to 10 years, mineral water has become more or less a necessity sort of thing. It's become very popular and the demand has grown, and a lot of small manufacturers have come in who may not be following all the quality standards that are required to sell packaged water, which obviously affects the more established players or largest players. So, the only way perhaps that he can do is to make the market more aware of the quality differences between his products and products of other manufacturers, and also encourage retailers to take this up and educate the customers in turn, because the customer ultimately needs to be educated on what he or she is buying. May not be a quality product.
Now, when we talk about metros and this thing, here people are quite aware and they go for the quality products only, they do not go for this. But when you go to the rural area, they simply see that water, it is a water. So, whatever is cheap, even 1 rupee makes the difference. So, whatever is cheap, they buy that. They are not aware of the quality and they do not think about the quality. So, these issues, I think we have to make these people aware that what you are consuming, there is a lot of difference, and it is better to spend 1 or 2 rupee more on this quality product than this product.
Rajendra, continue focusing on quality instead of the cost in the short term at least, and that will prove beneficial in the long term. That's the suggestion from our experts today. Let's take in our next query, and this is also coming to us on email. Sohan Jain has written to us on email saying SMEs face challenges as far as MNCs go and MNC competition go. This is despite some MSMEs providing better quality products and services. He's written in to ask us what measures he needs to take to improve his sales. So this is exactly opposite from what the previous query was. That person was competing with smaller players, whereas Sohan is competing with MNCs who clearly have the money, will have the awareness in terms of quality, and will be able to compete in terms of awareness, branding, etc. What advice would you have in terms of taking on these larger competitors?
We see, exceptions where small companies, and there are many such examples in India where small companies have competed with a very large multinational brand and beaten them and succeeded. And the only way that has been possible is through innovation. So innovative products, innovation in marketing. I think a lot of Indian companies have been able to challenge some of the multinationals on innovative marketing. Their understanding of the Indian market is better than that of multinationals, and therefore traditional Indian business houses have been able to beat them just by an innovative marketing program. We've seen some of that very recently as well, where certain multinational brands have fallen off from being the largest product category in some of the FMCG spaces. So it's always possible to do that by innovation and agility. The other thing is that as SMEs and smaller companies, you have more agility than a global multinational. For them to change to a market situation takes much longer, because they have their supply chain is across all over the world. So if they want to change anything in their product packaging or quality or anything, it will take them months and months to do it, whereas smaller companies can do it much faster and therefore be more tuned to what the market requires.
Yeah, I fully agree with him, and I see that MNC who are borrowing at 1 or 2%, who can spend millions of dollars on advertisement, who can employ the best professionals and pay them the best rate, they can do all these things, and small these people, they can't do that. But again, based on their innovation, and they should go for the products which are maybe of innovation and the best quality wise, and where these MNC may think twice based on the cost and all those analysis, and they may procure from them. And there are large number of SMEs who are supplying these as ancillary units to overseas MNCs. It is happening.
Let's take in another query. This one is coming to us on Facebook. Motilal Daulatani has written to us on Facebook saying, is there a body like CIBIL who can help in checking financial records of organizations that they're possibly looking at investing in? That's a great question. And is there an organization that will help
Yeah,
them?
there are organizations. Actually, after CIBIL, 3 another they have got the license, that is Equinox, Equitos and Highmark. And these are generally looking at the lower segments, those retailer and individuals, their records. Even CIBIL also, I think you can get the details about the individual promoters based on your PAN card number and this thing. Immediately you can see how is the track record of that person. So you can make the assessment based on that. These another also, Equinox is largest company in the world. So they have just started in 14-15. So maybe another year's time they will come up for all these retail clients.
All right. So that's in response to your query, Motilal. There are organizations, and like Mr. Bajali was telling you, there are 3 specific organizations, and you can probably look those up, and that will give you more clarity in terms of companies you possibly want to invest in. Time for one final query then, and this is a call that's coming to us from Shibab Uddin. Go ahead, Shibab.
I have a doubt about cloud server and how it's working. What is the procedure? Any teams have this kind of facility? This is my question.
All right, Shubham, thanks for that.
Today what has happened is that data servers are located maybe, and the software servers are located maybe in the US. And because the cost of the internet has become so much cheaper, it is cheaper to transfer data from all the branches, say, of a company all the way to the US, keep the database there, keep all your software there and use it as and when required, rather than keeping all the servers and the data within the premises or within one of the branches of the organization. So that is broadly the cloud server technology, and that essentially has made two things. One is it has reduced the cost of the total cost of ownership for IT products and services for small organizations who are happy to share it, space, data space or whatever with other people. Two, it has also helped a lot of new software companies who are developing software which use cloud computing. So that's broadly it. I hope it answers this question.
All right, that's in response to your query, Shibab. On that note, we've run completely out of time, but thank you, gentlemen, for being with us here tonight and answering all of the queries that have come in. Do remember that if you have any queries for us, you can always email us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can also reach us on social media for any queries that you want to send us on Facebook using the hashtag LOT, or if you want to call us, that's the number on your screens for you to reach us. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.